really small usually.
Well, 38 Special is 9 millimeters.
Yeah.
Yes.
But for revolvers.
Yeah.
I think those are neat.
Yeah. Well, and
Some people think they're little baby guns, but I think they're cool.
If I were to get a 38 revolver, I would honestly probably get a 357 Magnum, because 357 Magnum can also fire 38 Special. The reason is that was the 357 Magnum round was made for police. It's basically, the ultimate, person-killing round. But for practicing, they would use 38 Special just because it's cheaper to use, and there's less felt recoil, which in a combat situation where you're actually going to be shooting somebody, you're not going to be feeling much recoil. Yeah. That's why it was such a big deal that Dirty Harry shot 44 Magnum, because at the time most cops used 38 Special and 357. I'm in the fight. The HSCT is already over. There's no fight. Kind of disappointed they didn't have a Ruger SR9 though. I'd like to get a handle of that as well.
A lot of them look pretty much the same to me.
They do. You'd have to really handle them to feel the significant difference. And again, you'd also have to really shoot them to feel the significant difference, which I have shot the 226. So maybe my mind is playing tricks on me that it felt different than it did back then. Okay. And yeah. Who knows? Also, I don't have any money right now. I have so much not money that it's really depressing. I hate driving around in this area here. There's too many blind stop signs and just people blowing through fucking everything.
Yep.
And
where you have to take your goddamn test too.
Yeah, and just cars parked everywhere, so you have to pull out halfway into the road just to see where you're fucking turning.
I think for my part, if I was buying a handgun, just for my own recreational use, I would put a lot of stock into whether I thought it looked interesting and whether I liked the way it looked. Because it's not like you're in the army and I may have to rely on this in a whole lot of life or death situations. It's maybe at some point in your life, hopefully not, but maybe at some point in your life, you'll have to rely on this in a life or death situation. But for the most part, you'll just be cleaning it and shooting it for laughs. In which case, I want something that I think is pretty neat.
Yeah, I want something that looks cool, which is, entirely subjective. But you also want something that does feel really good in hand.
Yeah.
Which, if it looks really cool, and it's known to be a really reliable gun, and, it's everything else like it, and then you feel it's good. It's this is kind of weird. You can move past that and just, you'll get used to it, obviously. But yeah, and in terms of self-defense with the gun, as far as I know, there's only been one real successful self-defense case for handguns in Canada, or for shooting somebody with a handgun in Canada. I don't remember a lot of the specifics, just sort of the general story. There was a guy who owned a jewelry shop in Vancouver, and he was also a competition shooter. So because he owned the jewelry shop, he kept his handgun at the shop, just because there was a vault there, and it just makes sense, right? It's not, he didn't keep it at home because they wouldn't need it for home self-defense, or self-defense really at all. So one day he had the vault open and was counting money or doing whatever, and he saw on the monitors at the front desk the front desk person, who was his wife, was being held up by a couple of by one guy with a gun. Oh shit! I think I made it. I'll get this in.
Yeah, I think so too.
But one guy with a gun, he said that he was acting in a way that he felt that his wife's life was in danger. So he had his gun, he grabbed his gun, loaded it, walked out, and he pointed the gun at the guy, he turned, and the jewelry shop owner shot him 10 times, which is the legal size for magazines in Canada. You can only hold 10 rounds. Shot him down. So when it went to court, like by the seat of his pants, really, he successfully argued self-defense because the only thing really that saved him was the fact that he had full metal jacket rounds, which are cheaper and meant for target shooting. Because if he had hollow point rounds, which are obviously meant for killing people, then obviously it would have been easy. It would have been easier to argue that he was just looking to shoot somebody with his gun. Or it might not have. It might have even been like wad cutter rounds that he had, which are wad cutter rounds are they're instead of rounded off, they're squared off, and they are bezeled a bit, so that instead of tearing paper, it cuts it cleanly. Which is, they use that in shooting competitions, which not as accurate as a full metal jacket round, up to like 20 meters or whatever, but in shooting competitions. In pistol shooting competitions, or I think they're called free gun competitions, you're never more than like 5-10 yards away from your target anyway, so it doesn't matter. But yeah, so that's, to the best of my knowledge, the only successful self-defense case in recent years, I'm sure. I don't know about older. Because gun laws didn't used to be as strict in Canada. I think it was not until like the 70s did they really start to crack down on it a lot. I wish I remembered my history of this, because that would be interesting. Sarcasm. Oh well. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I am personally an advocate for looser gun control, and also I like romantically and even practically the idea of carrying a gun for self-defense purposes. I think there are a lot of a number of the states do have it correct, because it varies state to state there. I think it's Switzerland. Yeah, it's Switzerland that has mandatory military service, and just like everybody owns a gun, and you're expected to have a gun. And a lot of people carry guns, and there's very little gun crime. That's because it's really ingrained in the culture. Because again, there's mandatory military service, so just everybody knows how to use a gun. Everybody respects guns. And as opposed to, there's a lot of stories of gun violence in the States, which I would like to take a look at the actual numbers and figure out, one, where are the demographics that is happening, and two, how much is it relative to other countries that have similar gun laws in terms of population, because there are a lot of people in America, and far fewer people in Canada. There's much less gun crime here because we have, what, like a tenth of their population?
Yeah. It's a really complicated issue, and there is a matter of there is no other country with a similar culture to the U.S. that has such similar laws.
Yeah.
And I almost feel like the U.S. is too big for me to really, I think, for it to be fair to consider it as a country, or for these purposes.
Yeah.
Where it's like it's easy to talk about. I mean, Canada, because we have such a low population, even that is not really relevant to me. You can say that we have the same culture, and it's true. But to me, Vancouver and Toronto are very different places, and they are so distant that I have trouble actually like even thinking of them as the same country. Similarly, like it's easy to say, to compare Switzerland to another European country, but to compare Switzerland to the U.S., it's like the difference in population and geography and the number of states, number of cities, and all of themselves have different laws is nuts.
Yeah.
Like it would be fair to say, okay, what's it like in Kentucky compared to? Wait, is Kentucky state or city?
Kentucky is a state. Yes.
Yeah. I think it would be more fair to compare states directly to
other states,
European countries.
Oh, yeah.
Than all of the U.S. because that's not a useful statistic.
Yeah. So I think I think a fair comparison would be, say, Canadian gun laws compared to California, because California, I think, is pretty much the closest state to Canadian gun laws. Washington actually has got extremely loose gun laws. If I recall correctly, you can openly carry in Washington without a license.
Wow.
Which is, see, I'm against open carry because really, like, one of two things. Either one, you're just asking for trouble, right? You're just looking to shoot your gun, right? You're going around looking for places where you can shoot people, right? Which is, which is sort of counterintuitive to the whole self-defense thing, right? If you're walking around looking to get into fights just because you have a black belt, you're really kind of doing it wrong. And secondly, this is an argument that I hadn't actually considered until I heard one of these YouTube people talking about it. But if you're openly carrying, if somebody comes into rob a convenience store and they see you over there and you've got your pistol on your hip, they're going to shoot you instantly. So it doesn't matter that it's, it doesn't matter that it's a 1 second or a half a second faster to get it out. If somebody's already got their gun pointed at you and they're shooting you because they see your gun, then what's the point?
So there are a lot of situations where it wouldn't actually be deterrent.
Exactly. Whereas if it was concealed, somebody walks in, they see you, they say, you get on the ground. Okay, you get on the ground, and then you can pull out your gun and shoot them. Right?
Possibly.
Yeah.
You got a better chance. You got a better chance for the person with the gun on their hip. I feel like if people have the right to concealed carry, they should have the right to open carry, and it should be at a person's discretion.
Of course, yeah.
I don't think it's possible to make an argument for one. Well, I think it's possible to make an argument for open carry and not concealed carry, but I don't think you can make a case for concealed carry with no open carry.
Legally, yeah, of course. I think practically, I think concealed carry is a better idea because just because there will always be people who are just uncomfortable with it. So if you go to a restaurant and you concealed carry your gun, then you're not really going to cause any problems with other people who are just like, that's scary, right? Whereas if it's open carry, then again, you create an uncomfortable situation for people who don't share your opinions, right? It's like women who walk around topless just because they legally can. It's like, okay, well, you have the right. Nobody's stopping you from doing it. But there's no point in walking down to the 7-Eleven to grab yourself a Slurpee and not putting a shirt on. Like, that's just rude. Yeah. I remember there was one woman who used to come to the pool who had she had a one-piece bathing suit. But what she would do is she would roll it down and safety pin it down. So it wasn't even that she had like bikini bottoms or shorts, but she had a proper one-piece bathing suit. and she just fucking rolled it down and safety pin it. Like, really? Like, what are you trying to gain from this? What is the, what is the benefit for you? What is the exploration of your legal rights, or what is the what is the purpose or the stance that you're trying to take here?
Well, I think the stance is that people shouldn't be shocked by this, or people shouldn't be uncomfortable with this.
Yeah, but get fucking bikini bottoms or get a pair of shorts. Don't abuse the bathing suit you are wearing to make a goddamn point.
I would say, like, what it says to me, but this is totally like just reading input on my part, but it's like, don't go halfway.
Yeah.
Like, if you're gonna be like, I'm gonna go the topless thing, don't wear something that you can turn into clothing at a moment's notice.
Yeah.
So that just shows you're pussying out.
Pretty much.
But I don't think.
Like I once said of bisexuals, you're the hobbits of homosexuality.
I don't think. There is not possibly. Well, maybe there is. I don't think there is enough conclusive data on whether people who are licensed and concealed carrying are more likely or more able to commit a crime for anyone to make anything but vague emotional claims about it. Well, I don't think there is enough data for anyone to conclusively say if you allow a person to carry a gun on their person, they are more likely in a moment of passion to do something that they otherwise wouldn't. It's like, I don't know if that's true. And nobody can say it's true or not true.
Yeah.
I would be willing to listen to a person argue for or against it, but I would not. I don't think anyone can possibly make a conclusive argument on it.
Yeah, and another very pedestrian thing that I hear a lot is, there's no stories of people, who concealed carry operators, stopping robberies. There are so few stories of that, so it must not be worth it. But, like, okay, well, here's the thing. Like, there are also very few stories of black belts, winning fights. There are so few stories of people with CPR certification performing CPR and saving somebody's life. There are so few stories of these sort of extreme situations in which somebody has training, actually employing that training in real life. It doesn't make it any less valid. Just because it happens so uncommonly, or maybe it doesn't. Who's to say that there aren't black belts or mixed martial arts fighters stopping 2 or 3 guys beating the shit out of some homeless person? Or who's to say that there aren't hundreds of people a year using CPR to save somebody's life? It must be happening because we still train CPR.
Well, I think there's also a matter of the world is a lot smaller than people think.
Yeah.
Sometimes strike that from the record. A lot less crime and a lot less crazy shit goes on than people think.
Yeah.
It's like you don't hear that many stories of somebody concealed carrying or open carrying stopping a crime, but we hear about way more. We hear about all crime.
And that's part of media bias.
You hear about way more crime than is actually in your immediate vicinity.
And that's almost an entirely different discussion on its own. And there are a lot of different opinions on that. My personal opinion, which I think is brief enough, is just that news media trends towards sensationality, and reporting on crime and robberies a lot of the time is far more sensational.
Yep. Well, I think this is all not even an opinion. This is just established fact at this point.
Yeah. But there are other opinions on why, there are Marxist critical theories on it. There are other sociological theories on it that I won't really discuss.
If it bleeds, it leads.
Yep.
But when it comes to gun control laws, I hate to take the defeatist attitude because I do it so often and it's so unhelpful. Sometimes it's not helpful.
It can be realistic. It's more realistic.
I call it the realist more than the defeatist. Is as far as gun control laws to stop crime, or gun control laws in the name of stopping crime, I
Yeah.
don't think we should do it because it is pointless.
Yeah.
And that's a sad attitude to take. And perhaps the argument should be, what can we do to stop gun crime? But
Yeah.
stopping law-abiding citizens from getting guns and using them lawfully does not deter crime, and it never will. It hasn't, it never will. Because
Yeah.
criminals don't get guns legally. Fuck people.
Yeah.
This is not hard.
No. No, there are so few, and the other thing is that the majority of gun crimes committed with legal weapons are committed with long guns. They're not committed with handguns. They're committed with shotguns or with rifles. And you know, oftentimes like hunting rifles. You know, because that's what is easy to access. Right? It's so, you know, you can go out and spend $300 to get a shotgun, and that's what the majority of legal gun crime is. But you know, we're in Canada, we're having looser and looser gun control on long guns, and in America, even state to state, there are very few laws on a lot of long guns, assault rifles aside. Because I remember a number of states were looking to get assault gun bans. But yeah, like, handguns are so... illegal handguns are problematic, but how do you stop that, right? The way I see stopping that is, you know, making it... is the same way you stop drug problems, is you make it easier accessible to law-abiding citizens, and you draw away a lot of the criminal elements. It's a little bit different because, you know, it is a deadly weapon. But if, you know, my general idea on laws and control over anything, legal control over anything, is you have to have a two-tiered system. You have to make one thing easier accessible for the general population, and then by the same token, you have to ramp up punishment for people who are doing things illegally. So, you know, let's say we make marijuana legal, and then by turn, we can then, because this is legalized and this is being sold in liquor stores, for example, we can then in turn take, okay, so the real drug problems with, you know, gangs and such, we then ramp up the punishment for that, because you're no longer going to be catching the small fish, right? You know, we're not wasting time and resources on people who've got a couple of joints on
Yeah,
person.
so I think every reasonable person should be able to agree. It is not helping anyone to just arrest anyone who happens to be in possession of some pot and is just looking for a good time, if they're not doing something dangerous.
Yeah. You know, and by the same, we can make the same argument for gun control. You make it far easier for people to get their licenses, far more accessible. But then by the same token, you have somebody who has an illegal gun, you definitely got to ramp up the punishment. So if somebody has an illegal firearm, 10-year minimum sentence. Why not? Because it's now so easy. You can get, it's now so easy from, you know, so easy and so much cheaper to get licensed and get a firearm, that this person who's got illegal is very clearly going to be for illicit purposes. We stop it in the tracks. I mean, you know, 10 years may be excessive. Say 5-year minimum jail time sentence for somebody who has an illegal firearm. Which seems, you know, and again, that seems, right now, you can't have, the way I see it, like, you can't have one without the other, right? There's got to be more leeway for general law-abiding public, and then far more punishment for real criminals.
That sounds pretty good to me.
Yeah. Fuck it, I should be Prime Minister. I don't know. And then I was thinking, there are a few other Jesus Christ, it's hot. There are a few other laws that I can think of that really, you know, fit the similar sort of profile of, you know, lowering raising the threshold for punishment and then increasing punishment. Which I think that's it. Which is and that's a tough thing because it's really forcing two completely opposite attitudes on one issue. Like for the conservative attitude on drugs is rampant punishment, more punishment, more punishment, more punishment. The liberal attitude is is in terms of legalization, taxation, and more freedoms. Where in fact the actual solution is coming from both ends. Or what I feel is the actual solution is coming from both ends. Mm-hmm. Which it's there are no politicians that are able to look at the issues this way, which partly because they're especially Canadian politicians are bound to their constituents. Mm-hmm. So they can't really, whether or not they truly feel that way, they can't because they need to support their ridings, mm-hmm. wishes.
Well, I feel like somewhat to their credit, like if they're trying to, if they can only get one issue through or one side of an issue through or do one thing mm-hmm. with regards to, for example, marijuana.
Yeah.
They're probably looking at solving different problems. And it's like, if you were trying to just like find a general solution, like your idea is probably the best. But like from the conservative point of view, they're just trying to stop drugs. Drugs are bad.
Which isn't working.
And the liberals are like, well, we're wasting time and money.
Yeah.
Just chasing down people for nothing. So we're gonna eliminate the problem our way. And if you got to run on one platform, so you got to choose one or the other. You got to choose one result.
Yeah.
Everything's fucked.
Yeah, I hate Stephen Harper.
I used to think he was okay, but now I think he's kind of.
He was. I never liked him. I didn't like his fucking attitude, and now I don't like his fucking policies either. So now it's like there's nothing appealing about him. He looks like a pedophile.
Yeah, he does.
You never saw it before, but now that I said it,
that's like
cannot be unseen.
It's like there's something about him.
There's something about him.
I can't figure out what it is that I don't.
He looks like Zac Efron's pedo uncle. Oh god, this is terrible. I don't know if we should upload this video. We're gonna have feds on our ass.
Oh, is there actually a video?
Yep.